They laughed because they thought you were ordinary. They mocked because they mistook your silence for weakness. But the joke's on them. You are not one of them, and you never will be. They don't know who you are. They don't understand the fire that burns inside you, the power you carry that wasn't given by man, but forged by something far greater. Chosen one, they underestimated you, and that's their greatest mistake. They whispered behind your back, laughed at your struggles, and threw stones at you while you were still climbing. They thought you were fragile, thought you'd break. But what they didn't realize is that you weren't struggling, you were transforming. Their insults, fuel, their doubt, proof that you're everything they fear. You see, when people mock what they don't understand, it's because deep down they recognize a threat they can't control. And thank you, the unstoppable chosen one. Whether this is your first time here or you've stood with us from the start, your presence is the pulse of this mission. If you're ready to step fully into your power, to embrace the whispers, the fear, and the isolation as proof of your divine purpose, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to claim your role in this rising force. And now, let's break it down step by step, because if you're truly one of the chosen, you'll feel the pull to stay until the very end. Let's dive in. So, chosen one, listen to me. You are not who they think you are. You were never just another face in the crowd. You are the storm they mocked until it struck, the lion they laughed at until it roared. And now, as you rise, they're scrambling, trembling, choking on the very arrogance they used to dismiss you. You've become their worst nightmare, and here's the truth. They deserve every bit of it. Every fear, every sleepless night, every moment they spend watching you rise while their own lives crumble under the weight of their hollow facades. And don't for 1 second believe this is by accident. You were sent here, born to shatter illusions, tear down their carefully crafted lies, and bring balance to a world drowning in deceit. They don't mock you because you're weak. They mock you because they're terrified of what you're becoming. Every word they've spoken against you was a desperate cry for help, a futile attempt to hold on to power they never truly had. But let me remind you of something, chosen one. They don't get the final word. They can mock, they can scheme, they can whisper their poisoned words in dark corners, but it won't stop the storm that's coming for them. You are that storm. Your power isn't just yours, it's divine, untouchable, and unstoppable. Their mockery is the sound of their own fear echoing back at them. Do you feel it? That shift in the air? That's the energy of your enemies realizing they've already lost. Their fear, their panic, it's not just noise. It's proof that they know exactly who you are now. The one they mocked, the one they laughed at, is the one who's going to rewrite the rules of this game, and they're too late to stop it. So, to all the chosen ones listening, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay locked in. Today, we're peeling back the layers of their fear, exposing their cracks, and showing you why their mockery was just the beginning of their downfall. You're here for justice, you're here for balance, and most importantly, you're here to win. Let's go. Number 1. Turning shadows into ashes. Why they fear you so deeply. They mocked you, hoping you'd break. But what they didn't realize is that they were pouring water on a wildfire. It only made you stronger. They don't fear what you do, they fear what you are. You are the reflection they can't escape, the truth they can't rewrite, the reckoning they can't control. Every laugh behind your back, every whispered word, every mocking glance, they weren't weapons, they were shields, desperate attempts to protect themselves from the reality you embody. Because let's be real, Your existence is an earthquake to their paper-thin stability. Their lives are built on lies, fragile, glossy illusions stacked like cards in a shaky tower. And then there's you. You don't conform, you don't obey, and you don't flinch. You walk in like a storm, tearing through their pretense without saying a single word. They can feel it the moment you enter the room. You don't just see them, you see through them. And that, chosen one, is why they hate you. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you reveal. Imagine this. They've spent their whole lives living in darkness, convincing themselves the shadows are safe. Then you show up, and your light tears through their comfort like a lightning bolt in a pitch-black room. The cracks they ignored, the flaws they hid, the fears they buried. They're all laid bare in an instant. They see themselves as they really are, and it terrifies them. It's not just unsettling, it's shattering. You didn't ask to be their mirror, but that's exactly what you are. Unforgiving, undeniable, unstoppable. You see, chosen one, people don't hate what they don't understand. They hate what exposes them. You're not just a person in their world. You're the unrelenting force that drags their skeletons out of the closet and into the light. You don't even need to speak. Your energy alone, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, sends their masks cracking. They sense your divine purpose, even if they can't name it. It's in the way you walk, the way you stand tall, despite their attempts to knock you down. You are untouchable, and they know it. That's why they lash out. That's why they mock you. They can't win, so they try to drag you into the mud with them. And yet here's the truth that burns them the most. Every word they've spoken against you, every snicker and insult, was never about you. It was about them. Their fear of you isn't a reflection of your flaws. It's a confession of their insecurities. They've spent so long wearing masks that they've forgotten what it feels like to live in truth. You remind them of that. You remind them of everything they could have been, but were too afraid to become. And so they hate you, not for your flaws, but for your fearlessness, not for your mistakes, but for your power. They'll wonder, why does this person unnerve me so much? They'll try to rationalize it, to paint you as the villain, to convince themselves you're the problem. But deep down, they know the truth. You're not here to harm them. You're here to hold up a mirror, to rip away their illusions, to make them confront what they've avoided for years. That's why they talk about you when you're not there. That's why they flinch when you walk into the room. They've built their lives around avoiding the truth. And you are the truth. And let's not forget the divine power that surrounds you. You didn't come here by accident. You were sent, protected, guided. The more they try to break you, the more the universe steps in to shield you. Have you noticed how their schemes always fall apart? How their insults lose their sting? How their laughter fades the moment you refuse to be moved? That's not luck. That's your divine armor. Every attack against you has only made you stronger, more unstoppable. Their attempts to bury you were wasted effort. You don't crumble under pressure. You rise like fire through the ashes. And here's the ultimate irony. They mocked you because they thought you were small, insignificant, easy to destroy. But what they didn't understand is that you were never small. You were silent. Silent like a storm gathering strength. Silent like a lion before the hunt. Silent like a blade in its sheath, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And now, that moment has arrived. They've spent so long trying to tear you down that they forgot one crucial fact. You don't play by their rules. You were sent here to rewrite them. So let them talk. Let them fear. Their whispers, their lies, their hate. It's all proof that you're doing exactly what you were meant to do. You were born to bring justice, to shatter their illusions, to tip the scales. Their fear is your confirmation. Their hate is your spotlight. And their resistance? That's just the sound of a system crumbling under the weight of your truth. Chosen one, they don't fear you because you're weak. They fear you because you're unstoppable. So keep walking, keep shining. Number 2, the mirror that shatters illusions. You terrify them, not because of what you've done, but because your very presence rips the mask off their carefully constructed lies. You aren't just a person to them, you're their reckoning, a reflection they can't escape, a truth they can't twist, and a force they can't control. You terrify them not because of the words you speak or the actions you take, but because you embody the clarity they've spent their entire lives running from. Most people live behind walls of self-deception, hiding behind carefully crafted identities that make them feel safe. They tell themselves lies to sleep at night. I'm a good person. I've done my best. I'm happy with my choices. These stories are their shields, their armor against the truth. But then you walk into the room, and your energy alone sends cracks splintering through those shields. You don't even have to say a word. Your existence does the work. You are the mirror, and unlike the ones they're used to, this mirror doesn't distort, flatter, or lie. It shows them exactly who they are, and that's a reflection they're not ready to see. Your presence is a spotlight they can't escape. Imagine someone who's grown comfortable living in darkness, blind to their flaws, hidden from their fears. You walk in, and it's like you've thrown open the curtains. That sudden flood of light, it's unbearable to them. They see every corner they've ignored, every flaw they've hidden, every lie they've swallowed. You don't just expose their illusions, you obliterate them. And that clarity feels like a thunderclap in a silent room. No wonder they're scared. Your independence makes them question their captivity. Your strength highlights their weakness. Your courage throws a spotlight on the chains they've willingly worn their entire lives. They hate you, not because you've hurt them, but because you remind them of all the things they could have been, but were too afraid to pursue. Your presence digs up their buried shame, the dreams they abandoned, the potential they ignored, the lies they've told themselves to survive. And that shame is like a fire they can't put out. So, what do? They lash out. They retreat into their gossip, their slander, their whispers. They call you arrogant, difficult, dangerous, anything to shift the blame away from their own discomfort. But here's the truth. Their hatred isn't about you. It never was. It's a reaction to the storm you stir within them, the chaos you bring to their false sense of order. They fear you because you're the living embodiment of everything they've tried to suppress. You are the person they secretly wish they could be, but they lack the courage to even try. You didn't come here to make them comfortable. You weren't born to fit into their neat little narratives or stroke their egos. You exist to reveal, to disrupt, to awaken. And let's be clear, truth isn't gentle. Truth doesn't knock politely and wait to be invited in. It crashes through the door, unapologetic and unrelenting. That's you, chosen one. You are truth in human form, and they don't know how to handle it. The discomfort you cause, it's not your burden to carry. It's not your responsibility to make them feel better about their choices, their compromises, their lies. You didn't create their shadows, you just forced them into the light. And that's where real transformation begins. Because while they may fear you now, some part of them knows that this confrontation with truth is what they've needed all along. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the chaos, the breaking, the shattering of illusions. And You were born to shatter. Don't let their fear, their hatred, or their gossip deter you. Their reaction is the greatest proof of your power. They fear you because you're doing exactly what you were meant to do. You incarnated not to blend in, not to coddle, but to shake things up, to bring truth to the surface, to ignite transformation, even if it terrifies them. Like light, truth doesn't apologize for illuminating the darkness. And you were born to shine. So let them talk, let them retreat, let them lash out. Their fear isn't your problem, it's their awakening. And the best part, they can't stop it. You didn't come here to tiptoe around their illusions or soothe their insecurities. You came to break through them. Keep being the mirror, chosen one. Keep shining. Let their discomfort fuel your fire. You are the light they didn't ask for, the truth they can't deny, and the mirror that never lies. And as much as they may fear you now, one thing is certain: they'll never forget you. Number 3, the weight of eternal justice, why they tremble in your presence. Justice doesn't knock, it breaks down the door, and you, chosen one, are the hammer in its hand. You don't just speak for justice or fight for it. You are justice. It courses through your veins, as ancient and unyielding as the earth beneath your feet. Your presence carries the weight of something eternal, something they can't escape. People may not understand it, may not even be able to name it, but they feel it the second you walk in. A force of balance that is both terrifying and inescapable. This isn't about petty vengeance or personal grudges. You weren't sent here to settle meaningless scores or indulge in revenge. You're here for something far greater. You're here to bring balance, to restore harmony to a world that has rotted in the comfort of imbalance for too long. You're not chaos. You're the calm yet unrelenting tide that pulls away the debris, the fire that consumes the rot, the storm that clears the air. Those who have benefited from injustice, the manipulators, the liars, the corrupt, they feel it too, like a bell tolling in the distance, growing louder and louder. The sound is unmistakable. Their time is up. You don't need to point fingers or shout accusations. You don't need to engage in their petty games. Your energy alone declares their guilt, and that's enough to make them tremble. When you step into the room, it's as if the scales of the universe have risen, towering over them, and they know there's no hiding anymore. You don't demand accountability, you are accountability. And that terrifies them, because people who live in the shadows of lies and deception know deep down that the light will eventually find them, and you, chosen one, are that light. Their fear isn't personal, it's primal. They can sense that the force you carry is greater than you. It's ancient, timeless, and inevitable. It's the energy of justice itself, now walking in human form. You are the reckoning, the reset, the force of order returning to a world that thrives in disorder. Even those who have never wronged you directly feel uneasy around you. Why? Because your presence doesn't just expose individuals, it reveals the cracks in the systems they've trusted their entire lives. They sense that the structures they lean on, the ones built on lies, manipulation, and imbalance, are shaking, ready to collapse under the weight of your truth. You didn't come into this world to play nice or keep the peace. You weren't sent here to conform, to live quietly, or to look the other way. You came to disrupt, to dismantle the corrupt, and to rebuild something worthy from the ashes. You didn't come to ask for permission. You came to tip the scales, to deliver a verdict that has been a long time coming. That kind of presence doesn't just earn respect, it commands fear. And their fear isn't misplaced. They know deep down that resisting you is pointless. The energy you carry isn't yours alone. It's the will of something far greater, something they can't manipulate or escape. Call it the universe, call it divine will, call it the flow of justice. It doesn't matter. It has chosen you as its vessel. That's why, no matter how hard they try to fight it, their resistance feels weak even to them. Because they're not just fighting you, they're fighting something eternal, and they know they can't win. Your voice, your presence, your very existence shakes them. You don't just live for justice. It's embedded in your very being. It's in every word you speak, every step you take, every move you make. You don't need to scream. The quiet strength of your presence says it all. You are the judge, the jury, and the executioner of a system that has been broken for far too long. And that's why they fear you, not because of what you'll say or do, but because you are the end of their games. Their lies can't survive in your light. Their deception crumbles before your truth. And their time runs out the moment you step onto the stage. Let them resist. Let them talk. Let them cower. None of it will change the outcome. Because you weren't just born for this. You were sent for this. You are unstoppable, not because of your own strength, but because of the eternal power that flows through you. Justice doesn't falter, doesn't waver, doesn't lose, and neither will you. So keep moving, chosen one. Keep walking with the weight of justice behind you, unshaken, unyielding. Their fear is the proof of your purpose. Their trembling is the sound of a corrupt world breaking apart. You're not just here to balance the scales. You are the scales, and no one escapes the weight of eternal justice. Number 4, the truth that burns through their masks. A lie may run for years, but truth catches it in a single breath, and you, chosen one, are that breath. People spend their lives building masks, false identities stitched together from insecurity, fear, and ambition. They perfect these facades to hide their flaws, win approval, and maintain the illusion of control. But when they meet you, all of that crumbles. You don't just see their masks, you see through them. You unravel the lies they've clung to, not with words or accusations, but with the sheer power of your presence. You don't operate on their level, while others interact with the surface, smiling at their charm, believing their excuses, or engaging with their bravado. You reach deeper. Your energy cuts through the noise, pulling authenticity from people whether they're ready to face it or not. You're not fooled by their performance, and they know it. You don't need to read their body language or pick apart their words. It's deeper than that. Your presence is like a beacon of truth, illuminating what they've tried to keep hidden. And for those who depend on their masks, that light feels like fire. This terrifies them. Their carefully constructed personas, the lies they've rehearsed and polished, begin to crack and fade when you're near. They've spent years building walls to keep the world out. But you don't knock. You walk straight through. You leave them exposed, vulnerable, and unprepared to face the raw truth of who they really are. To them, it's like standing on a stage, stripped of their costume and lines, under a spotlight they didn't ask for. What truly unsettles them, though, is the fact that they can't figure you out. They're used to manipulating, to bending others with charm, deception, or fear. But none of that works on you. Their tricks fall flat, their bravado crumbles, and their manipulations hit a wall they can't break through. You see their intentions before they even act on them. It's like you've already read the final chapter of their story, including the pages they hoped no one would ever see. And they don't know how to handle that. You don't judge them, and you don't need to confront them. Your authenticity alone dismantles their pretense. You're not playing their game, and that leaves them disoriented. Without their masks, they feel small, weak, and unsure of who they even are. They've spent so long pretending to be someone else that they've forgotten how to exist without the facade. This is why they fear you. To them, you're not just a person. You're a force they can't manipulate, control, or silence. And that terrifies them. You strip away their illusions, not with malice, but because your very existence leaves no room for lies. It's like your energy demands truth, and in its presence, everything false begins to fall away. But here's the thing, chosen one. You're not here to comfort them. You're not here to reassure them that their masks are okay. You're here to transform, to expose what's false and leave them with the raw truth of who they are. Whether they choose to grow from it or retreat in fear isn't your responsibility. You're not their healer, you're their catalyst. You weren't sent here to make them comfortable. You were sent here to bring clarity, no matter how much it burns. And that's why they both fear and respect you. Your presence is a reminder of what they've avoided, a reflection of what they've lost, and a challenge to what they hold dear. You don't play by their rules, and you don't wear a mask of your own. That kind of freedom, it's a nightmare to those who are enslaved by their own lies. But for those willing to face the truth, it's also a gift. You are the force that changes everything, whether they want it or not. Keep being the truth, chosen one. They can't stop you. Number 5. The fortress of integrity. They'll never break. A liar's greatest fear is the one who cannot be fooled. That's you. A fortress of unshakable integrity in a world that thrives on deception. While others bend their principles like soft clay, you stand like stone, solid, unyielding, and untouchable. They don't just fear you, they resent you. You're not a player in their games, and that terrifies them because manipulation, deceit, and shortcuts are their currency. But with you, their tricks have no value. When they meet you, the tools they've relied on for years, charm, guilt, intimidation, fail. They try to provoke you, corner you, or pull you into their schemes, only to hit a wall they can't breach. And that drives them mad, because your integrity isn't just a defense. It's a quiet, unassailable power that leaves them scrambling for control they'll never have. The truth is, your authenticity is like a torch in the dark. It doesn't just light your path, it exposes theirs. It forces them to see the cracks in their facades, the lies they tell, and the compromises they've made. You are their reminder of what they could have been if they had chosen truths over convenience. That reflection, it's unbearable to them, so they react the only way they know how, by avoiding you, gossiping, or trying to tarnish your name. But their efforts are futile because your transparency gives them no leverage. You've left them with nothing to exploit. Your integrity doesn't just protect you, it's a weapon. Without raising your voice or throwing a punch, you dismantle their games before they even start. While they build their empires on shifting sands, you stand on bedrock. You don't need to play their game to win. You've already won by refusing to play. And that's what keeps them up at night. Their recognition that they can never break you no matter how hard they try. Let them talk. Let them plot. In the end, their fear of you is a reflection of their fear of the truth you embody. And the truth? It always wins. Number 6. The tipping point. They can't escape. You don't announce the end of an empire. You are the end. Your presence alone is the signal they've been dreading, the unspoken truth they've tried to suppress. You didn't come here to gently tap on their crumbling systems or politely request change. No, chosen one, you came to tear it all down, and they know it. From the moment you step into the frame, they feel it. Their time is up. The false dominance they've clung to for so long is slipping through their fingers, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. What unnerves them most is that you don't have to shout, threaten, or even lift a finger. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are. You carry an energy that's unrelenting and unapologetic, a quiet storm that speaks louder than words ever could. Like a tidal wave on the horizon, your approach is inevitable, unstoppable. Those who have thrived on deceit, manipulation, and exploitation feel the weight of that inevitability. You don't need to say a word. They sense the balance shifting with every step you take. Their empires, built on illusions and lies, were never meant to last. They stand on fragile foundations of fear and control, pretending their reign is unshakable. But you're the crack in the dam, the fissure in their carefully constructed reality. Your truth, your strength, your very existence causes ripples that grow into waves. Without engaging in their petty games or bending to their rules, you unravel their power just by being unapologetically yourself. You are the living contradiction to everything they stand for, and that alone is enough to make them tremble. What terrifies them most is not just that you're here, but that they are powerless to stop you. No matter how many lies they spread, no matter how hard they try to discredit you, they can't touch the core of who you are. Their tools of sabotage, slander, and resistance crumble in the face of your unwavering purpose. They see the tides turning and know, deep in their hearts, that their time is over. Their desperation only reveals what they won't admit. They've already lost. You are the embodiment of something far greater than they can comprehend. Justice, truth, a new order rising from the ashes of the old. Your presence doesn't just signify change, it signals an unavoidable reckoning. Their fear isn't about you as an individual, it's about what you represent. You are the living proof that their dominance was never permanent, that the balance of power has finally begun to shift. This is no mere moment of transformation, it's a collapse of everything they've relied on. You didn't come here to negotiate or delay. You didn't incarnate to coexist with their broken systems. You came to dismantle, to destroy the corrupt, and to pave the way for something pure, something just. Their time has run out, and you are the undeniable force ensuring that truth is realized. So let them resist. Let them claw at what's left of their crumbling empires. It doesn't matter. Their fear, their rage, their desperate attempts to maintain control only accelerate the inevitable. Because you weren't sent here to ask for permission. You were sent here to bring justice. And justice, chosen one, doesn't wait. Justice arrives like a storm, and you are the storm. Number 7. The fortress they'll never breach. You've already faced the fire they try to ignite in you. What can their sparks do to someone forged in flames? For those who thrive on control, manipulation, and fear, you are their worst nightmare. They've spent their lives perfecting tactics to bend others to their will, wielding guilt and intimidation like weapons. Against most, these tools are devastating. But when they aim them at you, chosen one, they shatter into nothing. Their weapons, so sharp in their hands, become dull the moment they're turned on you. And it terrifies them more than anything else. They expect you to crumble under their pressure, to play their game, to respond like everyone else. But you don't. You don't fight fire with fire. You don't scramble to defend yourself or engage in their petty power plays. You don't respond at all in the way they've come to expect. And that is what disarms them completely. They've built their power on the belief that fear, guilt, and manipulation are universal. But you You've already walked through the storms they try to summon. You've faced your own darkness and emerged stronger. Fear has no hold on you because you've already conquered it. Guilt? It slides off you like rain against stone. They may point fingers, weave their false narratives, or try to drown you in blame, but it never sticks. Why? Because you operate from a place of truth, and your intentions are pure. You know who you are, and their attempts to rewrite your story are laughable at best. They don't understand how someone can live untethered to the narratives they desperately cling to. For them, this isn't just a failed tactic, it's an existential crisis. Their final weapon, manipulation, crumbles like dust in your presence. They thrive on twisting perceptions and pulling strings, but you see through it all. Their games are transparent, their efforts clumsy, their tricks exposed for what they are. Desperate attempts to control what cannot be controlled. To them, your clarity is unbearable. They rely on shadows and deception, but you don't leave any darkness for them to work with. Your light burns too brightly. And this? It doesn't just frustrate them, it unravels them. Their entire identity, their power, their sense of control, it all hinges on these tactics. And when those tactics fail against you, they're left with nothing. No defenses, no masks, just themselves, exposed and vulnerable. And that vulnerability? It feels like the ground is crumbling beneath their feet. Because, without their weapons, they're forced to confront a truth they've avoided their entire lives. Their power was never real. It only existed because others allowed it. But you don't need their approval. You don't seek their validation. You don't play by their rules. You're the fortress they can't breach, the force they can't move, the fire they can't extinguish. And that's not because of what you do. It's because of who you are. You've already mastered the fears and insecurities they rely on. You've turned your pain into power, your scars into strength. What they see as weakness is, in fact, the unshakable foundation of everything you are. They can't break you because you've already broken and rebuilt yourself. They can't control you because you've freed yourself from every chain they could ever try to place on you. Their fear-mongering feels hollow. Their guilt trips fall flat. Their manipulation is laughable. And in the face of that kind of inner power, they realize the truth. They never had any real power at all. So let them try. Let them throw their dull blades and empty threats. None of it matters. You don't need to fight back because their efforts collapse under the weight of your unshakable presence. Their fear isn't just proof of your strength. It's the sound of their illusions crumbling, and they know, deep down, that you're the fortress they'll never breach. Number 8. The power they'll never grasp. They fear you because your power doesn't play by their rules. It bends to none, yet commands all. You don't rely on status, wealth, or superficial charm to hold your ground. Your authority doesn't come from anything that can be earned or stolen, flaunted or diminished. It comes from something far greater, something they can't touch or even comprehend. It's divine, it's eternal, and it's woven into the very fabric of who you are. You don't announce it. You don't need to. The moment they encounter you, they feel it. Even those who scoff at the idea of anything beyond the material world can't deny that there's something extraordinary about you. It's a power they can't name, copy, or control. To them, you are an enigma, a force of nature that doesn't fit into their schemes, their hierarchies, or their illusions of power. And that terrifies them because it reminds them of just how small and fragile their control really is. They've spent their lives playing games of influence and manipulation, carefully stacking their power on shaky foundations. But your presence alone exposes the truth. Their towers are made of sand. You don't rely on tricks, titles, or approval. Your authority is something they can neither buy nor destroy. To them, standing before you feels like staring into a storm, unpredictable, unstoppable, and utterly unyielding. You aren't just a person to them, you are a force, and forces don't negotiate. That's why they fear you, not because of what you've done, but because of what you are. You're a living testament to something higher, something they can't manipulate or outwit. Your very existence undermines their illusions of power. It's not just your strength or confidence, it's the purpose you carry, a divine purpose that refuses to bend to their rules, refuses to bow to their lies, and refuses to let their schemes thrive. Even without saying a word, you command a presence they can't ignore. You move through life with a quiet, unshakable confidence that unnerves them. You don't need to fight or prove yourself. The truth of who you are speaks louder than anything you could ever say. Those around you sense it. Some admire it, others envy it, but many fear it. Because your power doesn't rely on what they understand. It doesn't play by their rules, and that makes it untouchable. In the presence of your divine authority, their games are meaningless. Their hierarchies crumble. Their carefully crafted illusions dissolve into nothing. And all that's left is the stark, undeniable truth. They've built their lives on foundations that can't stand against the infinite. You don't need to confront them directly. Your energy alone does the work. It exposes them, dismantles their pretenses, and forces them to face a reality they've been avoiding. You're not just a person. They know that, whether they admit it or not. You're a reminder of a higher order, a force that moves through you, unshaken by their fear or resistance. And that's why they tremble. When they look at you, they're not just seeing you, they're seeing the infinite. They're seeing a power they'll never grasp, and a purpose they'll never derail. Let them fear, let them tremble. You don't need their understanding, their approval, or their acceptance. Your power exists beyond their comprehension, and that's what makes it unstoppable. Number 9. The storm they can't contain. They fear what they can't predict, and you're the storm that rewrites their skies, leaving them blind to what comes next. People crave predictability like a drowning man clings to a lifeboat. It gives them a sense of safety, of control. They build their worlds around routines and expectations, desperate to know where they stand and what's coming next. But when it comes to you, chosen one, their carefully crafted sense of control falls apart. You are the unexpected, the uncontainable, the force they can't measure, can't label, and will never control. They've spent their lives trying to fit everyone into neat little boxes, labels, categories, roles. They cling to them like armor. But when they turn to you, their efforts are useless. You slip through their grasp like smoke, leaving them disoriented and unnerved. One moment, you're the calm before the storm, introspective and quiet. The next, you're the thunderclap, shattering the illusions they've built their lives around. You don't play by their rules because their rules were never made for someone like you. You write your own, and that defiance, that refusal to conform, terrifies them in ways they can't even articulate. Your unpredictability isn't just unsettling, it's maddening. They thrive on certainty, on knowing what's coming next, on keeping the world around them stable and controlled. But you're the plot twist they never saw coming, the storm that reshapes the entire landscape. They try to pin you down, to define you, to make sense of you. And every time they try, you slip through their fingers. You're not just a puzzle. They can't even figure out the shape of the pieces. and that drives them into a frenzy, scrambling for control in a game they've already lost. It's not just that they don't know what you'll do next. It's that they can't. Your actions, your words, your very existence defy their attempts to predict or prepare. You move like the wind, untraceable, unstoppable, and unrelenting. To them, you're a riddle with no answer, a force of nature that refuses to be tamed. They're left on edge, watching you closely, waiting for your next move, knowing they'll never be able to anticipate it. And that's where your power lies, in the unknown, in the freedom to move without their limitations, without their scripts. You are the storm they can't predict, and storms don't ask for permission. You disrupt, you challenge, and you change everything you touch. Their fear of you isn't just about the chaos you bring. It's about the freedom you embody. You refuse to be confined by their expectations, and that terrifies them because it forces them to confront their own limitations. While they're bound by the need for control, you move freely, untethered, and unstoppable. You're not just someone who disrupts the status quo. You obliterate it. You leave behind a world that will never be the same, and they know it. They fear you not because you've done something wrong, but because you exist in a way they'll never understand. You are the unknown, and the unknown is the one thing they will never be able to hold. That's your power, and it's why they'll always fear you. Because storms like you don't fade quietly. You leave the sky changed forever. Number 10. The power of your silence, a weapon they can't defeat. A roaring fire doesn't need to announce its heat. It burns regardless. Your silence is that fire, and it terrifies them. In a world that thrives on chaos, arguments, and relentless noise, your quiet strength stands as an unshakable fortress. They hurl insults, they provoke, they try to drag you into their games, and yet you remain unmoved. Your silence is not emptiness, it's a force, a mirror that reflects their desperation, their insecurity, and their hollow attempts to gain control over you. When they throw words like weapons, expecting you to flinch, you don't react. You don't explain yourself or rush to defend your position. And that eats away at them. Their entire strategy crumbles because they expect noise in return, but all they get is the void. What they don't understand is that your silence isn't weakness, it's power. The kind of power that comes from knowing you've already won without even needing to fight. Your refusal to engage terrifies them because it strips them of control. They thrive on eliciting reactions, on using their words to dominate and manipulate. But you're not playing by their rules, and that leaves them flailing. They can't touch you, can't shake you, can't pull you into their storm. Your silence is louder than their screams, and it forces them to confront a truth they've avoided their whole lives. They hold no real power over you. Think about it. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, your silence is a declaration. It says, without needing words, that their opinions, their accusations, their noise, it all means nothing to you. It's like watching someone try to throw punches at a shadow. The more they try, the more they exhaust themselves. They want your attention, your energy, your engagement. But you give them nothing. And in doing so, you remind them that their chaos can't touch your calm. Your silence doesn't just expose their weakness. It amplifies your strength. It sends a clear message. You're untouchable. Their attempts to provoke you only highlight how desperate they are for validation, for a reaction that you refuse to give. And that's what truly drives them mad. To them, silence is unbearable because it reflects their own hollowness. It forces them to face the fact that their words, their schemes, their drama, all of it is meaningless in the presence of your unyielding calm. But let's be clear, your silence is not passive. It's intentional. It's a refusal to waste energy on battles that don't matter. It's a choice to rise above their noise and stand firm in your power. They don't understand that your silence is not an absence of words. It's the presence of unshakable confidence. It's a declaration that you refuse to be dragged into the smallness of their games. So let them talk. Let them shout. Let them flail in their desperation. None of it can touch you. Your silence is your shield, your weapon, your power. And in the end, it will speak louder than any words ever could. Number 11. You were born to rewrite the rules. You didn't come here to follow their script. You came to burn it and write your own. Chosen one, you weren't sent into this world to conform or play nice within the confines of their broken systems. You incarnated with a purpose so much greater, to dismantle the false foundations they've built and to create something entirely new. Their rules, their games, their so-called order, it was all designed to keep people small, fearful, and under control. But your very existence makes their rules irrelevant. You don't play their game, you rewrite it. The structures they cling to, manipulation, greed, fear, and deceit, are crumbling under the weight of the energy you carry. You don't even have to touch them. Your presence alone sends cracks through their carefully constructed facades. They've spent generations perfecting systems of control, but in the face of your truth, all their lies are unsustainable. You're not just breaking their rules, you're making them obsolete, and that terrifies them. But this isn't about destruction for destruction's sake. You didn't come to tear everything down just to leave ashes behind. No, your mission is far bigger. Where their systems were built on division, fear, and selfishness, you are here to create something rooted in balance, unity, and universal truth. Their rules sought to separate people, to pit them against each other for power. But your energy is a revolution, one that aligns with higher principles of justice, authenticity, and collective transformation. You're not just here to fight their lies. You're here to replace them with a higher reality. They can feel it, even if they can't explain it. That's why they resist you so hard. It's not because of what you do, but because of what you represent. You are the catalyst for change they've been trying to avoid. Their grip on power is slipping, not because you're attacking it head-on, but because the energy you carry makes their systems unsustainable. Imagine trying to hold on to smoke when the wind changes direction. That's what they're experiencing. The inevitability of change is on your side, and they know they can't stop it. The walls they've built are falling, not through brute force, but because their foundations were never meant to last. You are the embodiment of the future, and the future is rising. You're here to replace their outdated, crumbling structures with something eternal. Balance, justice, truth. That's the energy you bring into this world, and no matter how hard they resist, they can't stop it. Their time is up, and your time is now. Chosen one, don't look back. Don't question your mission. Their resistance is nothing more than proof that you're doing exactly what you came here to do. You are rewriting the rules, not with words, but with your very being. Keep going. The new world is rising, and you are leading the way. Number 12. The force of what you're becoming, why they fear your evolution. They don't fear who you are, they fear who you're about to become. You are the storm-gathering strength, the force that will rewrite their world. What unsettles them most isn't your current power, it's your potential. They see you evolving step by step, growing into something they cannot contain, cannot predict and cannot stop. You are not just a person in their eyes. You are a prophecy unfolding, and every move you make sends ripples through their carefully crafted illusions of control. They sense it, even if they can't articulate it. Your trajectory terrifies them. You are a force in motion, a work in progress, and every ounce of untapped potential within you is like a ticking clock, counting down to a reckoning they cannot escape. Your presence alone feels like a tremor, shaking the ground beneath their feet. But it's not just about what you are now, it's about what you will be. They see the fire in your eyes, the unstoppable energy in your steps, and they know, once you fully step into your power, there will be no corner of their world left unshaken. That's why they watch you so closely, why their whispers grow louder, why their attempts to undermine you intensify. It's not because you've done anything wrong, it's because you are the living embodiment of a threat they can't control. Their fear isn't rooted in the present, it's rooted in the future they see looming. A future where their systems, their lies, their control are no match for what you've become. Imagine this. They've spent lifetimes building walls around their fragile world, creating systems to manipulate and control. And here you are, not just a person, but a battering ram of truth, poised to knock those walls down. They can see the cracks already forming, and that's why they scramble. Fear, manipulation, and control. These are their weapons, but against you, they're useless. Your evolution makes their tactics look like paper shields against a rising tide. The harder they try to stop you, the more they reveal their own powerlessness. Your mission isn't just personal, it's cosmic. You are a signal of something much greater, a shift they cannot comprehend. You didn't come here to blend in or to live quietly. You came to evolve, to disrupt, to dismantle the structures of deceit, and to rebuild something far greater in their place. Every step you take toward your purpose is like the approach of a storm, unstoppable and undeniable. They see it, they feel it, and deep down, they know there is no escaping it. Let them fear. Let them whisper. Let them scheme. Their efforts are futile because they are fighting against something far beyond their understanding. You are not just a person on a mission. You are the mission. And what terrifies them most is that they know they can't win. Your potential is infinite, your purpose unshakable, and your evolution inevitable. You are the catalyst, the force they never expected, and the power they cannot contain. You are becoming everything they hoped you wouldn't. And that's why they're afraid. And now, chosen one, it's clear. Their fear is not your burden, but your confirmation. You're not just living, you're evolving into the unstoppable force they've always dreaded. Every step you take, every truth you uncover, shakes their illusions and signals the justice you were born to bring. Remember, their whispers, schemes, and mockery are proof of your power. You were sent here for a reason, and no one can stop what's unfolding. If this resonated with you, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to claim your power. Share this message, and let's rise together.